Welcome to the next session on computer graphics and visualization. In this video session, we will be discussing about fill area attribute functions, or what do you mean by OpenGL fill area attributes. Then we will be discussing about scanline polygon fill algorithm, followed by OpenGL fill area attribute functions, and at the end we'll be discussing OpenGL wireframe methods. Let's begin by understanding what do we mean by fill area attributes. Attributes are the properties of the objects that we are going to draw. For example, we have discussed the attributes for a point, such as point color, point size, and so on. Similarly, when we consider a line, it is having its own set of attributes, the line width, the line pattern, and so on. Similarly, every fill area, which includes circles, ellipses, and other objects with curved boundaries as well, also can be specified with a bunch of attributes. Okay, so we can only draw the boundaries of the polygon, something like this polygon or a fill area. That is called as a hollow attribute. We can draw it in a hollow way where we specify only the boundary of a given fill area, something like this. Second attribute that we can specify is by filling a given fill area with a given solid color. Maybe I can fill this with a red color, green, a combination of mixed colors, and so on. So that is called as a solid fill area for a given polygon or a fill area. We can fill it with a solid color. And third way is we can fill a given fill area with a given pattern. With a specified pattern, we can fill a given fill area. Instead of filling it with a solid color, the interior of a given fill area can be filled with a predefined pattern. So these are the three ways in which we can fill a polygon or a fill area. Now let us try to understand scanline polygon fill algorithm. The scanline fill or region is performed by first specifying the intersection positions of the boundaries of the fill region with the screen scanlines. Okay, first step that we do in this scanline polygon fill algorithm is determining the intersection positions of the boundary of the fill region with the screen scanlines. Let us look at one example. This is the polygon, okay, that we have here. For this polygon, we need to first determine what is the intersection of a scanline with the polygon edges. That is the first step. Okay, here we can see this is first edge intersection at x equals to 10, second edge intersection at x equals to 14, third edge intersection at x equals to 18, and the fourth edge intersection at x equals to 24. So this is the first step in the scanline. Okay, we need to first determine the intersection positions of the boundaries of the fill region with the screen scanlines. What is the scanline? Scanline is one row of pixels on the screen. If you remember the module 1, where we had seen what is a scanline. Scanline is one row of pixels. So we need to determine what are the intersections of one scanline against the polygon edges to be filled, or the fill areas to be filled. Then the fill colors are applied to each section of the scanline that lies within the interior of the polygon. Once we have determined the intersection positions of the boundaries of the fill region with the scanlines, then we need to fill the colors to each section of the scanlines that lies within the interior of the fill region. As given in this example here, once we have found the intersection points of the polygon with the scanline, we need to fill that particular region of the scanline which is lying interior of the polygon with a given color. All the pixels on the scanline will be filled with a given color. These are the portions of the scanline which is lying in the interior of the polygon. Okay. So these are the intersections of the scanline against the boundaries of the fill region. Second is fill the colors on the scanline for the regions of the scanline which are lying in the interior of the fill region. Now, the simplest area to fill is a polygon. Out of all the fill areas, which include the circles, ellipses, and any other closed shape with curved boundaries, out of all these shapes, polygon is simplest area to fill because each scanline intersection point with the polygon boundary by solving a pair of simultaneous linear equations where the equation for a scanline is simply y equals to constant. In simple way, polygon is simplest area to fill because all the edges of the polygon will be the straight lines, right? So we can obtain the intersection of the point with the polygon boundary. The scanline intersection point with the polygon boundary is obtained by solving a pair of simultaneous linear equation where the equation of the scanline is simply y equals to constant. Let us look at this example once again. So we have a given polygon here. The fill area here is a polygon, and we have one scanline which is mentioned, which is drawn here. This is a scanline which is having one particular value for y, and as we know, we traverse the scanline from left to right. Okay, so whenever we move from left to right, we encounter this first edge intersection, right? Let me name it as 1, the first edge intersection. This is the second edge intersection. This is the third edge intersection, and this is the fourth edge intersection, right? So there are the 4 edge intersections. Remember, what we can observe here is whenever there's a odd numbered intersection, 1 and 3, these are the odd numbered intersection. Whenever we come across the odd numbered intersection of a scanline with the polygon boundaries, we start filling the polygon, or we start filling the scanlines with the given color. And whenever there is a even numbered intersection, so we have an even numbered intersection here, and for 2 and 4, these are the even number intersection, right? Whenever we encounter an even number intersection, we stop filling the scanline with the given color, right? In this particular scenario, the total number of edge intersection is 4. Okay, we have the total number of edge intersection as 4, which is an even number. So remember, we always need to have a total of even number of edge intersection with a given scanline. Okay, so we have the first edge intersection here, the second edge intersection here, third edge intersection, and the fourth edge intersection. Whenever we come across an odd numbered intersection, so we start filling the scanline with the given color, and for every even numbered intersection, we stop filling it. Similarly, the next odd numbered intersection, we start filling the polygon with the given color, and for the next even numbered intersection, we stop filling it. So remember, for a given polygon, for every scanline, the number of intersections should be, total number of intersection against the polygon boundaries or the polygon edges should be an even number. Now let us consider some special cases here. In this case, none of the scanline was passing through none of the vertices, or none of the vertices participated in the intersection in the scanline. So in this particular scenario, special cases that we need to consider here, we have two scanlines, scanline y dash and scanline y. As you can see, both these scanlines are intersecting at the vertices of the polygon. Okay. Now what happens when we have a scanline which is passing through the vertices, and how do we count the number of edge intersections? That is the question here. Let us try to first consider or understand the intersection of the scanline y dash against the polygon boundaries. We have the first edge intersection here. Okay. We have the second edge intersection here and third edge intersection here. Now, the question arises whether we need to consider both these edges as a part of identifying the number of edge intersection. For the time being, let us consider both the edges. We have one edge here and one more edge here. So we can consider this as the second edge intersection. This has a third edge which will be intersected, and this will be the fourth edge intersection. Right? So there are total of 4 edge intersections here. Our condition is total number of intersections should be an even number. Let us see whether it is satisfied. Yes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 edges are intersected. So the total number of edge intersection is an even number here. So what we do, this is an odd numbered vertex. We start filling the polygon with a given color, right? We start filling the scanline with a given color along the scanline region which is interior to the polygon. Okay, now we reach this edge intersection. How many edges are intersecting? This was odd number intersection 1. This was even number intersection 2. Also, this was a third intersection as well, right? Third edge is also introduced here. So this will be the odd intersection. So we continue filling the polygon with a given color. The scanline will be filled with the given color. Every pixel on the scanline until we reach the fourth intersection, we are going to fill it with a given color. That is the case for scanline y dash. Now let us move on to the next case here. That is the intersection of the scanline y against the polygon edges. First, let us try to determine the total number of edge intersections. So this is the first edge intersection here. So we have one more intersection here, third intersection here, and the fourth intersection here. Now, how many edges do we need to consider here? Let us try to count that. We have the first edge intersection here, 1. Now, how many edges do we need to consider here? Now, if you consider both the edges, so this will be first edge intersection, second, third, fourth, and fifth. The total number of edge intersections will be 5 here, right? So first edge intersection, if you consider both these edges, the total intersection will be 5, which is an odd number, right? 1, 2, 3. Let me just mark it. So this is one edge, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The total number of edge intersection will be 5, which is not acceptable because it is an odd number. The total number of edge intersection should always be an even number. So what do we do in this case? So we can think of a rule here, okay? In such a case, so what rule we can follow is, whenever a scan line passes through a vertex of a polygon and the edges meeting at this particular vertex, if they are in the opposite direction, as you can see, this edge is above the scan line Y and this edge is below the scan line Y. Do you observe that, right? So this edge is above and this edge is below. So whenever a scan line passes through a vertex position for a polygon and the edges meeting at that particular vertex are in the opposite direction, in such a scenario, we consider such an intersection as only one edge which is intersect, right? So we need to consider this as one intersection. So this is first intersection, this is second edge intersection, third edge intersection, okay, this is third edge intersection, and this is fourth, right? So now the total number of intersections will be even number, right? So it's very simple now. So whenever we encounter the odd number intersection, we go on filling the polygon with a given color. Okay, we go on filling the pixels on the scan line from first edge intersection to the second edge intersection. So from even number vertex, we stop it, right? So similarly, we move for the third edge intersection. We have it is again odd number. We start filling the polygon until we encounter the next even numbered edge intersection. So this and this will be the area of the scan line or the region of the scan line which is lying interior to the polygon, and that will be filled. This will be the exterior region of the scan line which will not be filled. So what is the rule that we just identified now? Whenever scan line passes through a vertex of a given polygon, and if the edges meeting at that vertex both are lying on the same direction, either both should be above or both should be below. In this particular scan line example, that is the scan line Y dash, both the edges, this edge as well as this edge, both are lying above the scan line, right? So we need to consider both the edge intersections since they are on the same side of the polygon. If they are on the opposite side of the vertex, so here both edges are on the same side of the scan line Y dash. If we consider this case scan line Y, the edges are on the opposite side. One is above and one is below. In such a case, we need to consider the number of edge intersections as only one. So what is the rule? If a scan line passes through a vertex and the edges meeting at that vertex are both on the same direction of a given scan line, then we need to consider both these edges. If they're on the opposite direction, then only one of the edges should be considered. We need to consider the number of intersection at that vertex is only one. Now, how do we do that? We do that by shortening one of the edges. So whenever we are moving in this direction, okay, there are two methods. Either we can shorten the current edge as it is shown here and retain this next edge as it is, or we can retain the current edge as it is and shorten the next edge. So we need to shorten one of the edges to count the number of edge intersection as only one whenever a scan line passes through a vertex where the edges are in the opposite direction. Now let us consider a bunch of equations that is required to implement these scan line algorithms. So let us consider a polygon here. Now along the edge of this polygon we have a point xk comma yk on the edge of this particular polygon. So we have one more point given by xk plus 1 comma yk plus 1. Now these are the intersection points of the scan line yk and yk plus 1 respectively against this particular polygon edge. Now if you consider this line segment here, the slope of this line segment is given as m, given as difference between the y coordinate, which is yk plus 1 plus minus yk divided by xk plus 1 minus xk, right? Now, what is this yk and yk plus 1? These are the immediate two or the neighboring two scan lines. So we know that the difference between a current scan line and the immediate next scan line is always 1, right? We don't have any fractional scan lines there. So we know that yk plus 1 minus yk is equal to 1. The difference between every two adjacent scan lines will be 1. So we know that yk plus 1 is equal to 1. We can get in this equation to determine the value of xk plus 1 has xk plus 1 equals to xk plus 1 by n. xk plus 1 is equal to xk plus the inverse of the slope, which can be written something like this. Xk plus 1 is equal to xk plus delta x divided by delta y. So this is the equation to find the next point of intersection on the scan line for a given particular edge of a polygon. Okay. Now let us try to understand the concept of something called a sorted edge table. Now to efficiently process this scan line algorithm, it uses a table called as a sorted edge table, where it sorts the scan lines which are intersecting with the polygon in a given order. Okay. So for every entry in this sorted edge table, it maintains something called as an active edge list. Now, active edge list will contain the information pertaining to the intersection of this particular scan line at a particular vertex position. So let us move from bottom to top. Okay. So let us first consider the scan line YA, which is intersecting or it is passing through the vertex A of this particular polygon. Okay. Now every entry in the active edge list will contain three values. What are those three values? First value will be the highest y coordinate for a given edge. If I consider the edge EA, the highest y coordinate will be YE, the y coordinate at this particular vertex, right? So we need to first store the highest y coordinate value for a given edge, followed by the x coordinate value at the point of intersection, and then the inverse of the slope of this particular edge. Okay, that is what values we are going to store as an active edge list for every entry in the sorted edge table. So for the scan line YA, the first entry will be, so we have two edge intersections. Both these edges are in the same direction, are above the scan lines, right? So we need to consider it as two intersections, two intersecting edges, as we had discussed earlier. So scan line YA intersects at vertex A. We need to consider the edges EA and BA. So for EA, the highest y coordinate value is YE, the x coordinate value of intersection is XA, and the inverse of the slope of this is 1 by MAE. This is the first entry in the active edge list. The second entry is for this particular edge. Okay, so highest y value for this edge is YB, followed by the x coordinate value, which is XA, and the inverse of the slope of this line, which is given by 1 by MB. There are no other edge intersecting at this particular vertex, so we end that active edge list here. We proceed further. We find the next edge intersection as this scan line YD. Scan line YD passes through the vertex YD, vertex D here. Again, at vertex D, we have two edges, both in the same direction of the scan line. Both are above the scan line, so we need to treat this as two edge intersection. Okay. So remember, for this, the highest Y intersection is YC dash, because this is shortened edge here. We'll look into it later. Why is it shortened? The previous example. Okay, so whenever an edge passes through a vertex and one edge is above and one edge is below, we need to consider the intersection of the scan line as only one intersection. For that reason, we have shortened this edge. So for scan line YD, the entry in the sorted edge table is an active list which contains three values. So YC dash, the highest Y coordinate here, followed by the X coordinate, which is XD, and the inverse of the slope of this line M 1 by MDC. That is what we have here. Next edge that we have here is DE, the highest Y coordinate value is YE, followed by the X coordinate of the vertex D, which is XD, followed by inverse of slope of this line DE, which is 1 by MDE. There is no edge involved here, so we end this list. We move on up further, and we have the next scan line, that is scan line YC. Now this scan line YC passes through the vertex. There are two edges meeting at this vertex, but as per our previous discussion, we need to consider this as only one edge intersection, because one edge is above the scan line YC and one edge is above the scan line YC. We are going to consider only one edge, that is this edge, as the intersecting edge. So the corresponding entry in the sorted edge table will be the active list, which is specified using the highest Y coordinate for this edge CB, which is YB, followed by the X coordinate of the point of intersection, which is XC, followed by inverse of the slope of this line, which is given by 1 by CB. So that is the sorted edge table. Remember, this sorted edge table is used to efficiently process the edge intersections in order to properly fill a polygon with a given color. So that is the scanline polygon fill algorithm. Okay. So what do we do in the scanline polygon fill algorithm? We first determine the points of intersections of the scanline against the polygon boundaries. Then once you identified the points of intersection, we fill the scan lines with a particular color for the portion of the scan lines which are lying interior for a given polygon, right? So in this case, we fill from here to here, we fill here, and we fill along this entire section of the scan line from here to here. Okay, so that is the scan line polygon fill algorithm. So for this particular intersection, we go on filling it from this particular region to here. The entire section of that scan line is lying within the polygon. That is the scan line polygon fill algorithm. Let us proceed further to understand something called as OpenGL fill area attribute functions. In the beginning of this session, we had seen what do we mean by fill area attributes, right? Suppose we want to specify the fill area attributes. We have a bunch of functions in OpenGL called as OpenGL fill area attribute functions. Now we generate displays of filled convex polygons in 4 steps. So we need to first define the fill pattern. Okay, then we need to invoke the polygon fill routine. Then we need to activate the polygon fill feature of OpenGL, and then we need to describe the polygons to be filled. These are the 4 steps we need to follow if you want to display filled convex polygons. First, we need to define what pattern are we going to fill the polygon with. Second, we need to invoke the polygon fill routine. Then we need to activate the polygon fill feature of OpenGL, and then we need to define or describe the polygon which is to be filled. A polygon fill pattern is applied up to and including the polygon edges. Remember, a polygon pattern will be applied up to and including the polygon edges. Thus, there are no boundary lines around the fill region unless we specifically add them to the display. By default, the boundaries of the polygons will not be displayed. We can do that by specifying it separately. By default, boundary lines will not be displayed for a given polygon. Okay. Now let us look at each of these steps in detail. What are the OpenGL functions we have? First function is to define a OpenGL fill pattern. To fill the polygon with a pattern in OpenGL, we use a 32 by 32 bit mask, which is a 32 by 32 bit array. Okay. The value of 1 in the mask indicates that the corresponding pixel is set to 1, is set to the current color, and the 0 value indicates that the frame buffer position should be unchanged. So we basically create a 32 by 32 unsigned bit array, and wherever there is a change of bit value to 1, it indicates that the corresponding pixel should be set to a given color, or else retain it as it is. The fill pattern is specified in unsigned bytes using the OpenGL data type GLU byte. So this is how we specify OpenGL pattern using a data type called as GLU byte, followed by the name of the pattern, and we define an array of 32 by 32 values. The bits must be specified starting with the bottom row of the pattern, continuing up to the topmost row, that is the 32nd bit. Suppose we are going to define a pattern, and this is a 32 by 32 bit array. Okay, so this is the 0th row, this is the 31st row. Okay, we have 32 rows and 32 columns here, right? So we first start filling the values here for this particular 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, and so on. We first specify the bits starting from the bottom row of the pattern, continuing up until we reach the 32nd row. Okay, so this particular array should contain 32 by 32 values. So when we define the pattern as per our discussion earlier, we need to invoke the polygon fill routine. Let us see how do we do that. Okay, the pattern is replicated across the entire area of the display window, starting at the lower left window corner, and specified polygons are filled where the pattern overlaps those polygons. What happens is, suppose we have a window something like this. Okay, imagine this to be a rectangular window. So in this window, let us say we have a polygon something which should be filled something like this, a triangle. So what happens is the pattern replicates across the entire display window, starting at the lower left corner of the window. Whatever pattern that we are defining, it starts from the lower left corner of the window and replicates across the entire window area, and specified polygon areas are filled only where the polygon intersects with the fill area pattern, something like this. We can observe the patterns displayed only in the area where the polygon is intersecting with these patterns. Okay, something like this. These will not be displayed. However, this will create it only the patterns which are intersecting with the polygon boundaries will be drawn. Okay, polygons are filled where the pattern overlaps those polygons. Whenever the pattern overlaps the polygon, only that particular patterns will be visible. Once we have set a mask, we can establish it as a current fill pattern using the OpenGL function called as GL polygon stipple and specifying the name of the pattern. Step is define the fill pattern. We have done that using a GLU byte array fill pattern, a 32 by 32 bit mask. The next step is invoke the polygon fill routine, which is done by calling a function GL polygon stipple. It accepts a parameter which is the name of the 32 by 32 bit mask that we have created. Go to the third step, activate the polygon fill feature of the OpenGL. To do that, we need to invoke a function called as GL enable. We need to enable the polygon fill routines before we specify the vertices for the polygons that are to be filled with the current pattern using the function GL enable, and the OpenGL constant is GL polygon stipple. We need to do this before defining or describing the polygon. Once we have done that, once we have defined the polygon, then we need to disable it. At the end, the last step is describe the polygon. How do we define the polygon? Using GL enable GL, using the function GL begin, name of the polygon GL polygon. We specify the bunch of vertices and GL end, right? That is how we define the polygons. So the first create a pattern using a GLU byte type, data type of OpenGL, 32 by 32 bit mask. And to first define the fill pattern function, invoke the polygon fill routine, enable the polygon filling feature, and then describe the polygon. Now let us briefly look at what do we mean the OpenGL texture and interpolation function. Suppose we want to specify a texture for a given object as smooth. We have a function called as GL shade model, and the constant that we will be using is GL smooth. Okay, so that is one parameter that we can have for the GL shade model to get a very smooth texture for a given surface. And then we have one more function called as GL polygon mode. GL polygon mode, it's basically a function for specifying the wireframe methods. So suppose I want to draw a polygon something like this. Okay, a rectangle. Assume this is a rectangle. By default, what happens? Only the interior of the polygon will be filled. Only the interior of the polygon, and that particular interior will be drawn either with a given color or a pattern. And instead of that, I can draw only the boundary of the polygon, something like this. Rather than displaying its interior, I can only draw the outline of the polygon using the wireframe methods. Not only that, we can have more attributes. Instead of drawing the boundaries also, I can just draw the vertices that are used for drawing the polygon. Something like this. That is achieved by using a function called as GL polygon mode. So in GL polygon mode, I can display only the exterior point, the boundaries of a polygon, or I can draw only the vertices of the polygon. If I want to draw only the wireframe model of the polygon, that is only the external boundary. For that, we need to use a function called as GL polygon mode. It accepts two parameters. First parameter is to which phase do you want to apply this particular pattern. Okay, whether it is for the front face, whether it is for the back face, or both the faces. As discussed in previous sessions, every polygon is having two phases, right? The front face and the back face. If you want to apply it to both the front and the back face as well, we need to specify the constant as GL front and back. And how do you want to display it? Only the boundary lines, we need to specify the constant as GL line. If you want to display only the points or the vertices of the polygon, for that you have a constant called as GL underscore point. Okay, if I change it to GL underscore point, only the vertices of the triangle or the polygon to be drawn will be drawn. Okay, so GL underscore point will draw only the vertices, GL underscore line will draw only the boundaries. In this also we can have some of the edges to be, some of the vertices to be ignored, or some of the edges to be not included in drawing. To do that, we have a function called as GL edge flag. Suppose I have a polygon something like this, this is a triangle which is drawn using three vertices. Okay, something like this. Let us assume these are the three vertices of the triangle, and I'm using this GL polygon mode to draw only the outline of the triangle. Let us say this is V1. Okay, this is V2, and this is V3. Let's assume these are the three vertices that we are going to consider to draw polygon. As per this code, before V2, we have set the edge flag to false. That means V2 will not be included in drawing. Okay, so what will be the output? Only the edge connecting V1 and V3 will be drawn. V2 will not be drawn. Okay, the vertex V2 will not be considered for drawing. So we can do that using a function called as GL edge flag and setting the flag value to false. By default, it will be true. So we can change it to false to make sure a vertex is not displayed. So that is the GL polygon mode function, using which we can draw either only the boundaries of a polygon or the vertices as well. And we can also specify to which of the faces of the polygon we can do that. Whether you're going to apply it only for the front face, only for the back face, or both the front and the back face as well. Okay. And lastly, coming to OpenGL front face function, we can label selected faces in a scene independently as the front or back with the function. By default, the vertices specified in the counterclockwise direction form the back face of a polygon. Now, if you want to explicitly change that, you have a function called as GL front face. If you want to change the front face and back face of polygon, you have a function called as GL front face, and it accepts one parameter, which is the vertex order. Now, this parameter vertex order can have two values, either GLCW or GLCW. If I set the parameter vertex order to OpenGL constant GLCW, that is represents GL clockwise, then subsequently define polygon with the clockwise ordering. Okay, so something like this. If I have a polygon and I will specify the vertices in clockwise order, say this is first vertex, second vertex, third vertex, and the fourth vertex. So vertices in the clockwise order will be used to form the front face of the polygon. There's one more constant value for this parameter, that is GLCCW. Constant GLCCW labels a counterclockwise ordering of polygon vertices as the front facing. It is the default ordering of its vertices considered to be the front facing. By default, counterclockwise order of the vertices will be used for drawing the front face of polygon. So here what I can do is, if I specify it in the counterclockwise order, something like this. Okay, so we just specify something like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this case, I need to first specify the value for vertex 1, then vertex 4, vertex 3, and vertex 2 to specify the front face of a polygon. Depending upon the order of the vertex that we have specified, we can consider a particular face to be front face and the back face. By default, the vertices labeled in counterclockwise order will be considered as a front face. Now, if you want to explicitly change it, you need to call a function called as GL front face and change the parameter to GLCW, which represents GL clockwise. Change the other face to the front face. Right? So in this particular video session, we started with the fill attributes, then we discussed the scanline polygon fill algorithm, followed by OpenGL fill area attribute functions, and then OpenGL wireframe methods. With this, let us conclude this video session. Thank you.